This upper back engagement is a perfect way to reverse all the forward flexion you've been sitting in all day and get your back engaged to prevent neck, shoulder, and upper back aches and pains. Hey guys, it's Corey from Redefining Strength, and today I want to talk about 3 amazing moves to improve our posture. We spend so much time seated, hunched over our computers that we create postural distortions that we don't necessarily address before we go into our workouts. I wanted to share moves that you could include not only throughout the day, but also in your warm-up to improve your posture and prevent those aches and pains. So what are these 3 moves you can do to improve your posture and reverse that forward flexion? Exercise number 1 is the doorway chest stretch. You really have no excuse not to do this stretch anytime you walk through the doorway. Even if you don't have a doorway, you can technically do it against the wall, and if you're in a gym, you can even use a pole. But this is the perfect move to open up tight pecs after sitting hunched over a computer all day. If you want to improve your shoulder health, if you want to prevent neck, shoulder, and upper back aches and pains, you need to be including the stretch as much as you can, because it literally opens up everything that becomes tight from sitting hunched over a computer. We often foam roll our back because the muscles there feel tight. We think, oh, my back is achy, I need to pay attention to that. But a lot of times tight pecs or tight chest muscles can really contribute to those upper back aches and pains, leading to those muscles even becoming overstretched. That's why I like including this stretch as much as possible throughout the day. No matter what doorway you walk through, you can do this stretch. To do the doorway chest stretch, you're going to put your hand or even your forearm back on the doorway, and then you're going to step through it. Really think about engaging your upper back to open up your chest. You don't want to just rest on structure or just sort of open up your shoulder. You actually want to stretch the pec, and that means engaging your upper back as you do this movement. You want to think about rotating away from the doorway. If you want to target different aspects of your chest, you can even rotate your palm up towards the ceiling to externally rotate your shoulder. You can also put your hand up higher to address your pec minor more. If you're in a very limited space, you can always put that forearm on the doorway, just make sure you're rotating away. If you do also want to stretch out your neck, lean your head away from the side you're trying to stretch. Make sure you really engage that back to stretch your chest. You don't want to just be focused only on your shoulder, but you actually want to stretch the pec. Exercise number 2 is the tabletop bridge, or the more advanced variation, which is the posterior plank. While this can't necessarily be done at your desk unless you're able to get down on the ground, you could do the posterior plank off your chair. Just make sure the wheels are locked if it is a rolling chair. But this is a great way to open up your entire anterior chain or the entire front of your body. Because when we think about improving our posture, we can't just focus on our upper body. We also have to address the fact that we are constantly in hip flexion. The tabletop bridge is a great way to engage your entire posterior chain, activating your glutes, opening up your chest and hips, and even working on that posterior pelvic tilt to work your abs. When you do the tabletop bridge, make sure to really focus on opening up your chest by engaging your back. Also, squeeze your glutes to drive your hips into extension. You don't want to just arch your lower back to try and bridge up higher. By using the posterior pelvic tilt, you'll engage your abs and glutes more, and you'll protect your lower back. You won't be hyperextending your lumbar spine, but actually driving your hips into extension during this movement. If you want to advance the basic tabletop bridge, you can do a posterior plank, which is basically taking that bridge and putting your legs out straight. This is a great full posterior chain exercise that also works your hamstrings. However, it is a more advanced movement, so make sure you're not arching your lower back when you do it. You also still don't want your hamstrings to compensate for your glutes. You want to make sure your glutes are still firing. You can flex your feet to also help protect your knees during that move. And again, if you are off a chair, you could do a posterior plank variation to really open everything up while at your desk. Just make sure no one walks by to see you and that your chair is also locked. Move number 3 is the Superman wings. This variation of the Superman is one of my favorite moves to activate the posterior chain and really reverse all of that forward flexion. It's a great way to work on spinal extension and engage your back and glutes. You want to make sure though that your lower back isn't doing all of the work. A lot of times when we raise up in the Superman, all we end up doing is hyperextending and overloading our lumbar spine, instead of actually engaging our glutes to drive our hips into extension and lift our legs off the ground. By adding in the winged portion of this movement too, you can engage your upper back and even work on scapular retraction. This is so key if you're constantly rounded forward over your computer or even over your phone. To do this move, you'll place your hands behind your head and your elbows will go out to the side. As you do that Superman lifting your chest and your legs off the ground, you're going to lift your elbows up, pinching your shoulder blades together. Make sure that when you lift your legs, it's because you're engaging your glutes and not just hyperextending your lower back. You want your glutes to drive the hip extension. So make sure when you do it that you're not trying to just lift your legs up higher, but thinking about even driving your hips into the ground as you squeeze your glutes. At the top, you can hold. Then you can lower your elbows down, still maintaining that Superman position. This little wing or flapping position can help you work on that scapular retraction to reverse all that forward flexion. Even if you can't get down on the ground when you're at your desk, you can do at least the wing portion while seated at your desk. You can place your hands behind your head, and then you can engage your back to pull your elbows open. This upper back engagement is a perfect way to reverse all the forward flexion you've been sitting in all day and get your back engaged to prevent neck, shoulder, and upper back aches and pains. While you won't get the glute benefit of the full Superman move, it's still something you can do at your desk to improve your posture and prevent those aches and pains. If we don't address these issues when we go into our workouts, we're more at risk for injury because we don't have proper recruitment patterns. If you liked the video, make sure to like it, comment below if you have any questions, and subscribe. We're posting new videos each week.